on people, welcome back to the Blakers Spirit channel. Hope you're all having an amazing week. I'm back again doing another boxing video. I'm really loving boxing at the moment. I think the scene's thriving. This is the best I think I've seen boxing in a long time, and that's all thanks to big man Turki, His Excellency Alalshikh. Why did I say it like that? It was like a fucking fighter name. But yeah, he is doing some whether you like him or not, whether you think the motives behind it are right or not, there's one thing you can't deny: he's a massive boxing fan, and he's putting on events, fights that the fans have been begging to see. And the one that's coming up is no different. It is the Queensbury versus Matchroom 5v5 event. Don't quite know when they're doing this date. Obviously, they've got Baturbiev Bivol in June, on June the 1st. They've got Fury Usyk in May. So I'm presuming this Queensbury Matchroom thing's either going to be July or August. And today I'm not just going to be like just talking about it. I'm going to be giving who I think realistically. Also, talk about who I think should be, because you know I've got infinite wisdom. Obviously, no, I'm joking. No, but I'm just going to be doing it on who I think is more likely to face off as each other. Fighters from Queensbury, fighters versus Matchroom. I freaking love this. Why haven't they done this? Why haven't promotions just done this before? This would be amazing. Imagine if they did it in America and they did like Golden Boy versus PBC. Like, it'd be insane. So I'm really a big fan of this. Before I get into it though, those guys, make sure you smash the subscribe button and you smash that like button. It means a hell of a lot to me. Twitter and Instagram in the description too. Let's get into it. Now, you may have seen the recent video of Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren of their respective promotions choosing the weight classes. So the idea was that Frank Warren would pick 2, Eddie Hearn would pick 2, and then Turki Alalshikh would get 1. Turki Alalshikh picked heavyweight. He's a massive heavyweight fan, so that doesn't really surprise me. Frank Warren also chose heavyweight. That doesn't surprise me because he has got an absolutely stacked roster of British heavyweight talent. Also chose middleweight as well. And you know, the fact that these promoters are choosing their own weight classes, I think that gives a massive clue of who they're also going to put up the best fighters. Both these guys are. And anyway, Eddie Hearn, he chose light heavyweight and featherweight. So you know, interesting that those ones do. That means we're going to have 2 heavyweight fights on the card. And kicking it off, I'm going to be starting with the middleweight one. Now, the reason I'm starting the middleweight one is because I think whoever fights in this will have not the less intrigue, because there's gonna be intrigue, I think, in all of these, and there's gonna be a lot to be up for all fighters. But just in terms of commercial value, I think the middleweight's probably the least, and it might even be the first one on that main card. And so yeah, middleweight, Frank Warren chose it. He must be thinking of Hamza Shiraz. He's obviously just picks up a really impressive TKO win over Liam Williams. He looks absolutely on fire right now. I think BoxRec have him at number 3 and number 4 in the world for heat, so he's really high up. And I'm not surprised Frank has picked. He's going to pick Hamza Shiraz, because if you go over to Eddie Hearn's middleweight roster, it's not quite as stacked. I can say that word a lot, in my opinion. Anyway, not at this current moment. Anyway. So, but when the middleweight came out, I did a tweet giving my initial things, and I said, "Oh, Nathan Heaney or Hamza Shiraz versus Felix Cash." Just came to my mind because he was the biggest middleweight name that I could think of. But Felix Cash hasn't fought in a very long time. Is Eddie Hearn really going to put one of his undefeated middleweight fighters up against a guy like Hamza Shiraz, who's one of the best in the world, is on fire, has been a lot more active than Cash? Like, I just cannot. That would blow my mind if Eddie Hearn would put Felix Cash in there with Hamza Shiraz on this, without doing any sort of warm-up. Maybe he might do a little warm-up before then, but just to put Felix Cash straight into there, for after not being nowhere near as active as Hamza Shiraz in recent years, I think that'd be mental. So if it's not Felix Cash, why not just roll the dice and put Austin Williams in? He's definitely someone that I think Matchroom are trying to build up in America. Austin Ammo Williams, I think that's such a sick like nickname, Ammo. I don't know why I really like that, but again, I think he's got 19-0, 14-0. somewhere between there anyway. Hits hard as well, proper puncher for that weight class. So, you know, Hamza Shiraz versus Austin Williams, that would be a great way to open the card, I think. A fantastic fight. Hamza Shiraz would probably be quite a big favourite in that, but even still, it would get Austin Williams. I mean, both these guys are still fairly young, so I think it'd give these guys great experience. And but if that one doesn't fall, if that one does fall through, then why don't we just go a little bit step down the level and let's do like a big British fight. And you could do Felix Cash, and you could put him in there with someone like Nathan Heaney. Now I know Nathan Heaney had that draw against was the guy Daniels, I think it was, for that British middleweight title, ended in a draw. So maybe he'll probably want to go and have a rematch. If not Heaney, maybe Denzel Bentley. Felix Cash has already got a win over Denzel, so they could do like a rematch of that. That would be quite a fun fight to do, and I actually think Felix Cash could go into that even after the inactivity. I reckon he could still hold himself in there pretty well. So yeah, those are the three floating around: Shiraz against Williams, Heaney against Cash, or Bentley against Cash. Those are the ones I'm thinking of in the middleweight. Then I'm thinking in my fantasy world of this Queensbury Matchroom night, I've got going up to the heavyweight now. Now I know he's got a fight. I know he's fighting on the undercard, so it's probably not going to happen. But let's just say we just postpone that because there's a massive opportunity. Because let's be honest, Moses Tamer, he'll be on the main card, but all focus will be on Fury versus Usyk. Let's put him on this and market it more as Team Queensbury and Team Matchroom. Let's put him in there against Johnny Fisher. Johnny Fisher, definitely Matchroom's hottest heavyweight prospect. Moses Tamer, definitely Queensbury's hottest heavyweight prospect. Let's just put the two together, both young guys. Mate, if they put that together, oh my god, that would generally be one of the most exciting fights, you know, I think, of the year potentially. Like, but especially Johnny Fisher, like, he just absolutely goes for it. Smart as well, don't get me wrong. And obviously Moses Tamer's got a very high level boxing IQ, super slick southpaw, powerful as well. Like, both these guys, young bulls. That would be. I don't think they'll do that because obviously Tamer's, I think, fighting on the Fury Usyk undercard, and it'd be quite a tight turnaround unless he blows Solomon Dakers out the water, which is a fight I'm assuming he's going to happen on that for the English heavyweight title. But if everything goes to plan, that could be amazing. Moses Tamer versus Johnny Fisher. Don't tell me you haven't been thinking about that one, because that would be a dynamite fight. I'd love to see that. But in the likely event that doesn't happen, then let's get Joe Joyce on there. Joe Joyce, I think he's at a bit of a strange place in his career. Obviously, he just got that knockout win over Cash Ali in his return after the defeat to Zhilei Zhang. Get him on that card. He'll get paid relatively good, assuming that they're going to do it in Saudi Arabia. I think Joe's just at that part of the tail end of his career now, where he's just looking for big fights, big paydays. I was looking at the Matchroom ones apart from Johnny Fisher, like Dempsey McKean. Like, I don't know if Joe Joyce is going to, no disrespect, but I just don't think that's a big enough name for Joe Joyce. But then again, it depends what Joe Joyce wants to do. If Joe Joyce wants to still think he can go on the world champion thing, then yeah, he could fight someone like Dempsey McKean, or he could fight someone like Justice Hooney, another heavyweight prospect in Eddie Hearn's roster, from Australia, I think. And he's fought on these Saudi Arabia cards before, so he's no stranger to fighting in there. If that's what he's thinking, then put him in there with Justice Hooney. Why not? Or you could do, if he's just up for big fights and notoriety and everything else, put him in there with Johnny Fisher. Be a hell of a risky fight for Johnny Fisher, don't get me wrong. But Joe Joyce, you know, has that Zhang. Yes, I know he beat Cash Ali, but does that do the Zhang knockouts? You know, does that show that his chin's gone down a bit? And the juggernaut is not so titanium anymore. Like, is, you know, Johnny Fisher, that would be a proper test to test that chin, because he will definitely come and bang. Not like Zhang bars. But yeah, Johnny Fisher versus Joe Joyce, and I do think Joyce would get up for that. But yeah, those are the two that I'm thinking of. Then featherweight. Now, obviously when they announced featherweight, I think everyone like me was thinking Raymond Ford versus Nick Ball, Nick Ball, you know, he's probably still feeling down about what happened in the last Saudi Arabia card against that big, tall Mexican guy, he definitely beat. I mean, how the judges got that wrong. It's one of the worst decisions of the year already. But anyway, won't go into it. Nick Ball, you know, he'll be down after that. And then, but Raymond Ford, he said, and I did see this on BoxRec actually, that he's actually suspended by one of the commissions. I mean, it shouldn't have any effect if this is all happening in Saudi Arabia. But even still, he said he's not. Raymond Ford has literally publicly tweeted that he's not going to be involved in this. So in that case, then you're thinking of really two names, really. Lee Wood and Josh Warrington. Now, Lee Wood and Josh Warrington have business with themselves. But, in my opinion, whatever happens to Lee Wood, I think that fight's always going to be there. What I don't think Eddie should do is put Josh Warrington in there against Nick Ball, because what if Nick Ball goes in there and actually smokes Josh Warrington? That just kills the hype for the rematch. Even though, yes, I know it's a grudge match, but I just don't think the hype's there as much in the UK as it would have been. So don't put Josh Warrington in there against Nick Ball. Put in Lee Wood against Nick Ball. I know Lee said he's thinking about moving up in weight. You know, I think he's finding it harder to cut down to featherweight. But for that big Saudi paycheck, you'd be the fight before the co-main event. So you'll have a lot of eyes on you. Get Nottingham behind you. Put Lee Wood and Nick Ball have Liverpool behind him. Lee Wood versus Nick Ball. Who doesn't say no to that? That's a fantastic fight. That is an absolutely fantastic fight. You know, I think they'd both really be up for it. I mean, that's just a brilliant fight. I know it's a bit sad because that would be fantastic to have in the UK. And, you know, we're seeing this happening in the Middle East. But even still, that is a fantastic fight to have. Lee Wood versus Nick Ball. Yes, please. If we can't get Ford versus Ball, Wood versus Ball. Because even if Wood loses in that, he can still fight Josh Warrington. And if anything, Josh Warrington will gain like a bit more, you know, confidence in himself after seeing that happen. So, you know, Wood versus Warrington, I think that's what happens. That fight will happen anyway, regardless of what happens to Wood. Warrington, I think it's a different story. But Wood versus Ball, that is who I would have at featherweight. I'll be honest, there wasn't really any other featherweight fights I'd like to see. Now that we're definitely not having Ford involved. So yeah, Lee Wood versus Nick Ball. Now the co-main event, I'm not going to go too much into this because it looks like it's already pretty much signed, sealed, and done. If you're following Tunde Ajayi on Twitter, shout out him. He's brilliant. I love listening to him and Spencer. But yeah, if you're following that, to me it sounds like Callum Smith and Anthony Yarde is agreed, which makes sense, right? That is the one. That's probably Matchroom's best light heavyweight bar Dimitri Bivol. That's Queensbury's best light heavyweight for sure in Anthony Yarde. Like, that makes perfect sense. But obviously, we had the Yarde versus Buatsi. That fight's been looming over for God knows how long. Feels like years and years. And it did look like that was going to be the one. And I saw a tweet the other day from Josh Buatsi saying, "Oh, it's been sent over," and then this gets out. Really, really weird. Ben Shalom, I know, is absolutely seething because he was very. I think he was really looking to make that fight. I think Boxer and Sky looking to have a big super fight like that, but unfortunately couldn't. And Eddie Hearn, Ben Shalom and Eddie Hearn aren't the best of mates at the moment, and Eddie Hearn's going to be grinning like a Cheshire cat if they do this. You know, especially that Buatsi left Matchroom went, oh my god, mate, the banter in British boxing is hilarious. But yeah, looks like we've got Smith versus Yarde. That's an insane fight. If it doesn't happen though, I tweeted it out. Willie Hutchinson against Craig Richards. I've seen other people talk about that. That'd be a fun one as well. Although I think I'd have that lower down on the card. But you know, that's still a fantastic fight. Obviously Craig Richards now with the McGuigans. And now the main event, another heavyweight fight because Frank chose two. Now, this one is a massive step up for Anthony. Yes, I'm going for Anthony Joshua. He wants to be active. You know, why not do this? He's a very proud Matchroom fighter. You know, I remember when he fought Wallin and there was that whole bit of an animosity between him and Queensbury's Dev Sani. So I think he's quite proud to be of Matchroom. So I think he'd be well up for this. And do him versus Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker only recently been announced that he has been signed by Frank Warren's Queensbury, which is no surprise, given he's like best mates with Fury. And do that. Joseph Parker versus Anthony Joshua. Both have been super active. It's helped them massively. I actually think their activity has overtaken them over so many other heavyweights. And you know, this could be like the ultimatum. The two most elite active heavyweight fighters, maybe apart from Town because he's fought a lot as well. But putting them against each other. Parker of Queensbury, AJ of Matchroom. Yes, I know the first fight they had was really boring, and I may have switched off halfway through and I watched that all those years ago. But still, AJ's looks like he's brimming with confidence. Parker's brimming with confidence. He's just beaten Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang back-to-back. AJ's just knocked out supposedly not supposedly, Ngannou is the baddest man on the planet, but you know what I mean. He's knocked out the baddest man on the planet in devastating fashion. So do that as a main event, and that is another fantastic fight. I'd love to see that. I think AJ would be well up for that. Ben Davison surely would be. They'd get the spreadsheets out. They'd break down Joseph Parker to a T. And that'd just be a great fight. So the 5 that I've got, if I can remember them: AJ versus Parker, Smith versus Yard, Wood versus Ball, Shiraz versus Austin Ammo Williams, and what was the other? Anatauma versus Fisher. Yes, those are my 5. If I could have it my way, those are my 5. Let me know in the comments down below, guys, which 5 Queensbury versus Matchroom fights you'd like to see. Yeah, just leave them in the comments down below. Make sure you smash that subscribe button and like the video. My Twitter and Instagram in the description down below, and I'll see you on the next one.